This is another sign of the times, an analysis, and a commentary. African lion population is dwindling rapidly, study says. Lion populations throughout many parts of Africa have declined sharply since the early 1990s and are likely to shrink by half again in the next 2 decades unless a major conservation effort is mounted to save them, a new study has found. The study, which analyzed data from 47 of the 67 African lion populations, totaling an estimated 8,221 lions, found pronounced reductions in West and Central African populations. In 2 national parks, lions appeared already to be extinct. There were less drastic, but still substantial declines in the East African countries where lions have traditionally thrived. Overall, the African lion population in these regions has decreased by about 50% since 1993, said Luke Hunter, president of Panthera, an organization focused on the global conservation of big cats, and one of 8 authors of the study, published in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. In contrast, most populations in southern Africa remained stable or even increased over the same time period. An exception was a large population in Botswana, which declined. Lion experts attributed the stability in southern countries to a lower density of humans, the establishment of fenced wildlife preserves that protect both lions and humans, and national policies that have given ownership of wildlife and the profits from tourism or legal hunting to landowners and communities. A lion researcher at Oxford University who led the study said that the severe declines in many African countries put at risk the lion's storied role as king of the jungle. We are losing all the populations which are characteristic of the pristine view of lions, he said. Lions roaming free, hunting wildlife across the savannah. The researchers said that the population declines they reported in the study were likely to be underestimates because the analysis was limited to surveys and other samples from sites that were monitored by researchers and that provided lions at least some protection. If there is an overall bias in our results, the researchers wrote, it is probably toward optimism. Approximately 20,000 lions remain in all of Africa, according to estimates. The scientists projected that there was a 67% chance that the number of lions in Central and West Africa would drop by half within 2 decades. In East Africa, where some populations, like the lions in Serengeti National Park, have remained stable, the probability was 37%. The threats to the lion's survival have grown along with the human population in many African nations. The spread of subsistence farming has encroached on the woodlands, open plains, and thick bush where lions hunt and breed, with human settlements and large predators living in proximity. Lions are often killed in retaliation for attacks on livestock or humans, and a robust trade in bushmeat has depleted the prey that the big cats depend on for survival. You start pulling at the threads of these big, complicated ecosystems, and they start unraveling, Dr. Hunter said. In other words, watch as lions and many other big animals go extinct, like rhinos, hippos, and elephants, just to name a few. Poorly regulated trophy hunting has added to the problem in some countries. The death of Cecil, a lion killed in Zimbabwe this year by an American dentist and recreational big game hunter drew public outrage. But some lion experts said that hunting was a problem primarily in countries where corruption has infiltrated the industry, in places where the money from trophy hunting benefits people who live in the area. The practice can help conserve lions by making it in communities' interests to keep populations healthy. Wildlife is under so much pressure, said Brian Child, a conservation economist at the University of Florida who was not involved in the study. We don't get past ideology and get down to what works, we're going to lose the whole lot. Again, in other words, watch as many of the big wild animals of the world go extinct. The researchers noted that most African countries did not have the resources to mount the type of conservation effort needed to protect lion populations from further decline, and several said that the West and other countries outside of Africa should share responsibility for saving the lions that remained. I think around the world that an awful lot of us would like to assure that the Serengeti survives, said Craig Packer, a lion expert at the University of Minnesota, who was also an author of the study. He and others said they hoped the results, which were based on more reliable and sophisticated statistical techniques than previous findings, would persuade regulatory bodies to take account of the projected declines and regional differences in deciding how to categorize the African lion. The International Union for Conservation of Nature lists the African lion as vulnerable rather than endangered, and it appears in Appendix 2 under the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, a category that includes species that are not yet threatened with extinction, but may become so. About 20,000 lions remain in all of Africa, and that is not very many. If their numbers get down too low, they will not be able to reproduce properly. Last year, the United States Fish and Wildlife Service proposed to list the African lion as threatened, offering it some protection under the Endangered Species Act. A threatened listing would require a permit for the import of trophy lions by hunters, but under a rule also proposed by the agency, imports would be limited to trophy lions from countries with a scientifically sound management plan for African lions. According to the agency, Dr. Packer said that in his view, the agency should list the African lion as endangered in all the countries outside of southern Africa. They need to send a signal to these countries that they've got problems with their lions, he said. So yes, again, it really is about what kind of world are we leaving to the future generations? And that should be a very important question to ask. Should it not? Everything that must change quickly or rapidly, and for the better. Again, Revelation chapter 9, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. 2. He opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. 3. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. 4. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those humans which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. 5. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months, and their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he strikes a human. 6. And in those days shall humans seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. 7. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were, as it were, crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of humans. Yes, it's time for the physical and spiritual manifestation of the book of Revelation, and all these are more signs